Hello.
Hi, hello everybody.
Hello,
Welcome,
hello.
welcome. How are you, Sam?
I'm okay. I'm very warm.
Yeah, I've got a
Very
fan
warm.
directly on me. That's well done. Yes, that is what is needed today.
Honestly.
I hope everyone's keeping cool. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Well, this is a special one, isn't it, Sam?
It is a special one. It's a very special one. And it's the last of season 3.
It's the season finale. I can't believe we've done 3 seasons.
Do you know what I worked out the other day? 24 hours, a whole day of
Oh
talking.
my gosh! Wow.
24 hours.
A
Just
whole
chatting
day,
about books.
a whole day of talking about books. I
Yeah.
mean, that's like heaven, really, isn't it? That's what we want to be doing.
I could do it day to day. Just every day.
Hello, Shad. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Yes, Shad.
Um,
Can't believe it. This is the finale either. And time flies it does fly when you're having fun. It's
It
true.
does.
And thank you
Which will
all.
be the case today.
It will.
Because what is this
Whoa.
stack?
Wow. Okay, that is very impressive, Sam. And I just want to thank everybody. There's certain of you, hello Beck, who have been here for pretty much all of those 24 hours. And
Yeah.
we're so grateful. It really means a lot. And I feel like we've kind of all gone on a journey with this. So it continues. Today's a really
We didn't even know where it was going to go.
no, we really didn't. And also, we're really surprised every season, right? We're like,
Hmm.
oh, there's more people to talk to, and there's more books to discuss, and
There's
more.
more things to talk about.
Yeah. And we've already got more ideas for future
Hmm.
episodes. So, anyway, we'll talk about that later. But this episode is also special because it's a special on grief. Writing
Yes.
and grief. Thank you, Shabs. Sorry, I just got off the trim and she's just admiring my haircut. Thank you for noticing. Anyway, back to grief. So this is about writing and grief. And part of the reason we chose this is just because we like to keep these episodes and putting the world to rights relevant with what's really going on, both in the wider world, but also in our personal lives. And as we know, our dear Sam has had the saddest and hardest few months ever. And you can decide how much you want to share about that. But I think a lot of our viewers know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
So yeah, we wanted to make it relevant to what you've been through, Sam, and also because it's such a universal subject.
Yeah. And you're not wrong. It has been so tricky. It's been so eye-opening. It's been so different than any kind of experiences with grief that I've had before. Um, which I will touch on like going further in the episode, like with the books and things, but it's really opened my eyes to how like it's never one size fits all.
Yeah.
It changes depending on your relationship. It changes depending on your living circumstance. Like the thing that's really been hard with my nan is I lived with her like all my life. So like even the little things, like if you don't live with someone, you don't have to see their chair empty. You don't have to open the cupboard and see their coffee cup, or just kind of see little pieces of them lying around that you can't bring yourself to move.
Yeah.
And that's been the kind of um oh, it's too early to cry. That's been the kind of reoccurring theme for me lately. And again, I will go into it more, but I've kind of struggled with absorbing myself into books the way I normally would, because
Mm,
books have always been my escape, more so during like COVID times and my OCD diagnosis, a lot more during there. Um, but like I said in the poetry one, even back in uni when it was like the self-help poetry kind of side of it, it was still there. But at the minute, I'm kind of stuck in limbo of not really being able to take my mind too far away from reality. And I went through this, and it's another kind of grief with the state of the world, because I could not take myself away and enjoy a book, because why should I get to enjoy that book?
Yeah.
but it's getting easier. I've devoured a novella. That's a start. Yeah, I've devoured a novella. But we're getting there slowly.
Yeah.
And you've been amazing. Everybody watching has been amazing and so kind and gracious. And yeah, just very, very grateful.
Well, as have you. I think you've just approached this and handled this and navigated this with such grace and such strength of character and such honesty. And, I remember, and I don't know if we've shared this, but I do want to say that when you told me that you'd lost your grandma, the first thing you said is, just so you know, I've lined up all these speakers and we've got all these guests, and I promise you, like I won't, leave it too long. And you just didn't want to let anybody down, even in the middle of your deep, deep loss and grief. So I just want to acknowledge that, because it really shows your strength of character and your loyalty, and um, just how reliable and consistent you are, even, when you're going through one of the hardest things, you could ever go through. So thank you for showing us what's possible at the same time. And also,
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this space. And again, everybody watching, for
yeah, well,
giving this space, because it is a healing hour of the week.
100%. And it's funny that, isn't it? Because, everybody who's been our regular viewers, you've all been so gracious and so understanding. And of course, we were worried, if we take a break, is anybody going to come back? And you did,
Yeah.
and it just really meant the world to us, and helped us understand as well, what you mean to us and what we've ended up meaning to you. And this subject matter, I think, is so important because it's quite literally universal.
Yeah.
We're all going to grieve, unfortunately, at some point. And as you put it, you mentioned, Sam, two very different types of grief, which is that deep personal grief when you lose a loved one, but
Yeah.
also grief for the wider world and the
Yeah.
horrors and the deaths that we're seeing on a daily basis, and the violence, but also our understanding of the world and how it works, and right and wrong. We're all grieving that right now,
Yeah.
our trust in leaders and systems and things like that. And that's a whole other kind of existential grief, as
Yeah.
well as the destruction of the planet. And also, there's many other types of grief, which I think we're going to touch on as we
Yeah.
go along. But we really want to be as inclusive as possible, because I think one of the things that I feel really strongly about is that, yes, we have systems in place, and within our cultures, we have ceremonies, and we have time off work, for actual loss of life, deaths. But when it comes to other forms of grief, that gets a bit grey and confusing and muddy and awkward. And often
Yeah.
there's other types of grief which are experienced very privately, and alone sometimes. So
Yeah.
we want to try and, yeah, try and include as much as possible. And I've got a feeling this time's going to go very fast.
I think it might. I think it might just.
Yes, and Shad says, and I'm going to stop and read, that you are strong and resilient and always thinking of others. And that is very true, Shabs. Yes. Um, right, Sam, where would you like to start?
Well, what, I guess, what are your main books that you are your go-to?
Yeah, so we're going to start with books. Now, there's so much, we like, there's books, there's
Hmm.
poetry. We also realize that songs, and songwriting and lyrics are so important to people in these moments of grief. And
My
so I
God, yeah.
think we've both chosen a few songs as well that we want to share, because I think, first of all, that's even more universal and accessible than even poetry and even books. We all listen to music, and there's certain songs that I think see us through those times, but also help us feel what we need to feel. So, just an overview of what we might be covering and the different formats we might be covering. So, I'm going to whiz through a few because I know you've got loads, and I'm fascinated to see what you've got on your pile. There may be some overlap, but well, one of the ones that I wasn't able to find my copy of. Now, I just want to check if yes. So there's something that Helen, one of our regular viewers, recommended as well.
Oh,
which I was going to mention, and I'm going to read what she said actually to start with, because I think it would be a really nice thing to start with the fact that we asked everybody if they wanted to contribute to this and just share what kind of writing helps them get through some grief. And she says, "Oh, I wish I could watch this one live, but to add my thoughts. After I lost my dad, I actively stopped reading and listening to music, almost like I was punishing myself or trying to punish him. It took a long time to pick up a book. When I did, it was Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. That is a book. That was the book I needed. My dad loved reading and adored music. That is where I get it from. Things started to click. Why I was depriving myself of the things we loved doing together. So I took myself to an ELO concert on my own and sang for the both of us. Was the That was the start of the healing process. 13 years on, and I'm getting there." So I just wanted to share that because I thought it was absolutely beautiful, and I think it made us both very emotional when we read it. So thank you, Helen, for that.
Oh,
So Tuesdays with Maury, yes, that was on.
what an entrance back.
I know, right? I know. Beck says the 5 people I met in heaven. Yes,
Oh
absolutely.
man, that
Great
book.
choice. So this is one that I mentioned before, and this is Ruby. Is a guy, and just very briefly, it's about two sisters. There's two books. One is about the younger sister. This is about the older sister, and they've lost their mum. And it starts with that. It starts with a family who has lost their mum, and how the father and the two sisters are trying to navigate their grief, but actually that they're all really lonely in their grief. They can't come together because this loss of this mother has just catapulted them all into kind of their own corners of grief. And I thought it was just so beautifully put. It's incredible. My next book is Beloved by Toni Morrison. Now, this defies category. Now, this I'm really proud because I've got 2 copies of this, but this is actually from school, and I think I must have studied it maybe for GCSE or A level. It's absolutely full of notes on every page. I think I wrote whole essays in it because I was actually allowed to take it into the exam. So it's just there's bits, and again, you'll be so proud of me because I hardly ever annotate books, but there's whole pages that are color coded and stuff like that. So
I was just thinking, I'm so proud.
so proud of my 16-year-old self. Bless
Yeah.
me, I was such a swot. Anyway, this defies category. We know that, but some people say it's a ghost story, and I'm not going to give anything away, but essentially it's set at the time where it was that generation of Black Americans who had just been liberated from slavery. So they were born into slavery and then they were free. And it's just the psychology of that and what has happened to all the families, all the relatives, all the groups and communities of people who find themselves, dealing with a lifetime of trauma and generations of trauma, and then suddenly, they own their own lives. But it's also about the fact that a baby has died, and the baby dies right at the beginning, and the mother can only afford to get one word put on the baby's tombstone, and that is beloved, that this baby
Oh,
was beloved. And because it's such a literary masterpiece, we forget that that is the premise. That is the actual premise. That's where the title of the book comes. And we're talking about the grief of the world right now, but it really is an analysis of grief for your past, for the horror that you've endured, for the scars on your back, for your freedom, for your womanhood, for your relatives who have gone, for the new generation to come, and the ghosts, of course, that remain because of that, the haunting. So I thought that was a really important kind of meditation on grief, and obviously, unmatched. Um,
yeah.
I'm going to go to this one, which I know you have on your list as well. Grief is the thing with feathers. Now, for me, I don't think anybody has ever matched the way in which grief is described and explored in this book. It is
Agreed.
so simple and so perfect. And because it's short, it's a novella, you know, it's really short, you can whiz through it. It's every word is perfection, you know, it's just honed and honed and honed and honed. So that as well is just incredible. And the journey it takes you on, and, you know, the way it leads you back out of grief at the end is just absolutely phenomenal. And then my final book, I've got a lot of poems, but we'll come to that later. My final book is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where to start with this book. It's so important to me, and it's not obvious it's a book on grief straight away. Without giving away too much, it's about having to, or losing someone, or walking away from someone who has affected your life so deeply that they still haunt you. And that we often think of grief as losing someone you love. But what about grieving the letting go of someone who has affected you so awfully, and what remains of them within you, and how you let go of that? And then also at the same time, grief the beliefs that you know, had about yourself, and the grief of the lack of love, you know. And it's essentially about her relationship with her mum, and how that colors her relationship with absolutely everyone in her workplace, her relationships with herself, obviously. And I am estranged from my mum and other members of my immediate family. And I have what many people call low contact with other members of my family. So no contact and low contact. And the reason I can use that terminology is because I found a community of people who have chosen to estrange themselves from family members. And it's an incredibly complicated, misunderstood situation. And it's very, very, very difficult to explain the effect that that has on every aspect of your life, financially, emotionally, socially, professionally, culturally. I could go on. Um, and it was one of the few, and there's a few others that I haven't read that I know are non-fiction, like Maya Angelou's book on her relationship with her mum. Arundhati Roy has just written Mother Mary Comes to Me, I think. And I'm really, really excited to read those too, because I think that exploration of a very difficult relationship with a mother, paired with then grieving that and the complexities of that, is just so brilliantly done here.
Yeah.
So yes, those are my books.
So beautifully put. And like, I cannot like agree enough on Eleanor Oliphant. I was blown away. My like estrangement is different. Mine is my dad's side. Um, I only met him when I was 15, and then he kind of, you know, buggered off. But but yeah, like it's from the dad's side, but it still hit a place where I was like, oh, I understand why I'm like this,
Yeah,
or I understand what has been going on, and like why all these things, I treat them this way, or I am as closed off as I am, or I am as reserved in certain situations, or push myself out in certain situations. And it just kind of brought it all back home. And I was like, that is why. And I'd never really like sat with that feeling before. I was always unbothered.
yeah,
I didn't care, didn't want anything to do with him, don't need him, I'm fine without him. But it's a coping mechanism to some extent. Now I can confidently say that, and I'm like, you know, it is what it is. And I'm very lucky in the sense that I did have my paps, and he was my father figure. Um, but yeah, for Eleanor Oliphant, that just beautiful. The exploration, the way things are put forward to you as an idea that you can then take and implement in your own life, just exceptional. I read, that was one of the first books I actually read when I joined Book Talk, and it was recommended to me by a friend at the time. And
right.
honestly, I was I don't even know what the correct word to use is, because I was physically just stunned. It was one of them where you read it and you think, is this about me? But
Yeah.
like fiction.
Yeah.
Like, like it's just kind of one of them where it's like, this really could be something so personal, but it's so universal, and it makes you feel like, as silly as it sounds, not as alone in those feelings, or it puts names to feelings that you couldn't put names to.
Absolutely. So well put, Sam. And Beck saying the same, that it was also hard hitting for her for very similar
Yeah,
reasons. And that grief just has so many faces, doesn't it? And affects us in so many different ways. So, yes, absolutely. I love what you said, Sam, about how it sometimes gives us the language with which to talk about things that we don't have
yeah,
language for,
yeah,
especially in certain cultures. And I think Lorna has said that sometimes British culture doesn't always quite have the language and even the ceremonies or the processes that we need,
yeah,
for the community.
yeah.
What about you, Sam? What have you got on your lip? Very
So
amazing
many,
title.
so many. Firstly, I will briefly touch upon Tuesdays with Maury. It is a memoir about life-changing conversations between a mentor and his ex-student. I have never cried so hard at a book as I cried at this book. And as you can see from the annotations, it was devoured. Maury is living with ALS. By the end of the book, he sadly does pass away. But the lessons that get passed through that is just life changing and mind altering. What was that quote? He says something like, to learn to die is how to live. Or so, I've got the quote, but I was just absolutely, once you are not scared of death, you can live. And
Yeah.
like, it's such a simple concept, like such a simple like concept, but it truly is that simple. Like, you can just go out and do the things, say yes more, go and do the things that you're scared of, because it all ends the same way anyway. Just do it. And I have like implemented some of that into my life since reading it. And I think that is what is so powerful about books. And it also doesn't shy away from the grief. It's raw. He's grieving him while he's still alive, which is something that resonates with me with my nan. Um, because watching somebody decline, no matter how close or far removed you are, is always difficult. Um, but there was certain scenes where he was talking to him, and it was progressed, and there wasn't much time left, and I just felt myself caving caving in, and just thinking like, how do you come out the other end of that? And he does, and it gives hope.
Mm,
And then that is what, when you're in a time like that, you look back on and use to go forward.
exactly. So well put, Sam. Beautiful.
My next one is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Where is my copy?
Of course.
It, again, annotated. Um, so it follows stories of people that go to this cafe in Japan. They all have some form of grief, some form of regret, and they get to go back into the past or into the future, and they get to say things they wish they'd got to say, which is a very common theme with grief. Ask things that they didn't get to ask, because it's always the unasked, the unanswered, that it's always those questions that, and that's one of the quotes from that book that stuck with me the most, that don't leave things till later, don't wait till the coffee gets cold. Because why do we wait for later? Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Do it now. Ring now. Ring while it's there. Because why not? Like, life is busy. Everyone is busy. But life is finite. Finite? Finite?
I
Yeah.
say finite.
Life is finite. It will not go on forever. You will not always have a tomorrow to be able to make them calls, send them texts, do that last chore. or maybe leave the chores, but do the fun bits. But yeah, it just really it hits home how many forms of grief there are, because in Before the Coffee Gets Cold, there's estrangement, there's, I think, the loss of a sister, there's a loss of a father throughout the series, not just in this one. But yeah, there's just so many different kinds of grief that it touches on, that there's kind of something for everyone, and the messages within it are again for everyone.
Mm, absolutely.
The next one, What Heals Us, and this is a romance. We've gone off course.
Okay.
So this is by Maggie Gates, who we have had on,
We have.
and yeah, again, annotated to high heavens. But this one is more of a personal one for me, with the fact that the main character has lupus, and my mum has lupus. So it's the kind of, not necessarily grief, but like grief of what life takes away from my mum,
Mm,
like the things that she wishes she could do, or the places she wishes she could go, the normal life she wishes she could have. And honestly, it is lupus like representation the best I've ever read it, and I've read it a few times. But yeah, it's just so beautifully written and so in depth about the challenges that come with a chronic illness and an autoimmune disease. Um, it's a romance, so obviously there's a firefighter heroine, and she's got a bucket list of things she wants to do. Nothing happens to her, she's absolutely fine, but the bucket list is just things she wants to do, and he helps her go through the list, and they fall in love, and it's all showing like the beautiful sides that love can bring out. And he washes her hair for her on a day that she's struggling, and it's so beautifully heartwarming. And it just made me think, like, oh man, why isn't there more people like that in the world?
100%. Beautiful.
Yeah, there's so many. Obviously, The Eyes of Gaza,
Yeah.
for very literal, like, reasons of just grief of humanity. Like, reading that, it took me a while to finish it, actually. I think it took me longer than it usually would. I've got it here. It's only a thin book, again, annotated. but yeah, it took me quite a while, but it explores grief and the collective grief of, like, the loss of experiences and loss of families, loss of homes, loss of jobs, just loss of a whole entire, like, system that they are used to, that is their normal, that has now been completely destroyed and taken away from them for literally no reason. It's just stolen land now. That it is just bloodshed and war and literal, like, genocide. And for what? And reading this, it just really hit home, because it's from the journalist Plestia's perspective. It's her diary entries. It tore me apart. And I think I said a few episodes ago about how what moved me the most was the way in which she speaks about it. So used to it. Like, what would be tearing us apart obviously will be tearing her apart, but it's what she sees every single day.
Yeah.
And it's said, oh well, this happened here, oh that then I was driving and this happened here. And it's just beyond comprehension that is happening in the world that we are living in, not too far away. And that just unlocks a whole new grief that I don't think I've ever felt before.
Yeah. Very well put, Sam. You're in very good company, unfortunately. Yeah. Unprecedented times.
Yeah, 100%. Have you read The Eyes of Gaza?
I haven't, and if I'm honest, I'm a bit scared to.
Yeah.
I've actually started reading Salt Houses by Hala
Oh, Alian.
Alian, yes.
Yeah.
And so far, I'm loving it. I'm loving it because so much of it reminds me of Cyprus, which is where my mum's.
Yes.
and it's bizarre how similar the cultures are and things like that. But yeah, Shabs is also saying, yeah, grieving humanity and what has become of it. Yeah, absolutely, that's what we're all doing right now.
Yeah.
So I'm buying the books. I've got all of so many of the books that have come out of Palestine
Yeah.
recently, but I don't always read all of them just because I just can't bear it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's me being honest about just
Yeah.
choosing very carefully when I read them and what I read.
I
Uh,
will say, if and when you do go in gently, it is that there is nothing left
yeah,
not on the page. Like, it is so transparent, and so incredible, like truly incredible. And the strength and bravery, resilience it's taken to put this into the world, immense. But it is a very, very tough read.
I can imagine.
Yeah. What about poems, Nina?
Poetry, yes. Well, I have got some gorgeous poems here actually, and maybe we should stick with yeah, and Beck actually says that, you know, it has to be the right time for
Yeah.
somebody to read certain books, and we do have to get that balance right between protecting our own hearts as well as, you know, our awareness of what's going on. I don't think I ever get that right, Beck, but we're trying. And actually, on that note, I think sticking with Palestinian writers, one of my poems that was on my list about grief is If I Must Die by Refat Al-Arir. And Refat was murdered. He's no longer with us. And he was murdered. Um, he knew he was targeted. There's a heartbreaking video of him just saying, I know they're going to kill me, and all I have, I'm a writer, or like my only weapon is this pen right here. And he got a phone call saying, we're going to kill you. And so he left the hospital where he was sheltering with thousands of other people so that if they dropped a bomb on him, it wouldn't kill everybody else. And in the end, the only person who would take him in was his sister and her family. And I think they all died in the end. I hope I've got that right. So this is a poem of his, and I'm going to read it, and then I'd like to just discuss what the hell he's doing there, because it just blew my mind when I thought about what he was actually doing. So it's called If I Must Die. If I must die, you must live, to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad, who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite, you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope, let it be a tale.
Oh,
So he knows he's going to die. He knows he's going to die. He's grieving his own death. He's writing about his own death. He's not sick. He just knows he's going to be killed. And he writes that poem. And
for simply spreading the truth.
and so we're living in a time where those things are happening. And I'm so grateful, first of all, to him for writing that. And he was a beautiful, beautiful soul. There's videos of him giving speeches about all sorts of beautiful things. But also, I'm so grateful for everybody, especially those with big platforms, who took up his call and have read this out. So many famous actors and musicians and, you know, people with a platform, and everybody who have kept his words alive. Because that's the whole point, you know, is that actually he will never die, however hard they try.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, that is the first one. And I know that's a powerful one. It doesn't get any less powerful as I go along. The next one, and I hope you'll all indulge me while I read a few. I won't read all of them, but I will read this one because this is a poem by a writer called W.H. Auden, who I believe was gay. And he was gay a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, when being gay was illegal. And so, from what I remember and understand, this poem was written about the death of his partner, of his life partner. And of course, he couldn't express his grief publicly, and he did not have the rights of anybody else who would have been married in a heterosexual marriage, and was not afforded even the sympathy and the kindness of losing this person that was so important to them. So it's called Funeral Blues. Stop all the clocks. Cut off the telephone. Prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone. Silence the pianos and with a muffled drum, bring out the coffin. Let the mourners come. Let aeroplanes circle moaning overhead, scribbling on the sky the message he is dead. Put crepe bows round the white necks of the public doves. Let the traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. He was my north, my south, my east and west, my working week and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong. The stars are not wanted now. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood, for nothing now can ever come to any good.
Up the moon and dismantle the sun just broke something in me.
Yeah. And I just think it just encapsulates how the world should stop when you lose that person, because your world has stopped. And there have been moments where I've walked outside and gone, how is the sun still shining? How is
Yeah.
everyone just going to bloody work? Why are the shops open? Because your life has literally
Why are
stopped.
you laughing?
Yes, yeah, 100%. Um, and it was featured in that movie, Four Weddings and a Funeral, actually. That's what made it famous. But I do think it's, and you know, Shab says, I love it for its simplicity and rawness. And that,
Yeah.
yeah, that encapsulating that moment of complete hopelessness and finality. Yeah, absolutely right. Um, yeah, and Beck agrees.
Yeah.
And I just want to give honourable mention to Dylan Thomas's poem, Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. I think that is also an absolutely beautiful, raw, angry poem of just the rage and the unfairness of losing somebody and refusing to let them go, but wanting them to refuse to let go as well. And what I love is that all of these are encapsulating different elements of grief as well. There's one last poem which is kind of about saying goodbye to. It's a breakup poem really, and weirdly, it's been really hard to find out who the author is. But someone gave this to me a long time ago when I was grieving. First, you know, just a breakup, but then losing a friend, as in not through death, but an ending of a friendship. And it's really beautiful, but it's quite uplifting. So I might leave it for the end if we've got time, and if that's okay.
Absolutely.
What about you, Sam? Tell us about your poems.
Do you know what? I have quite a few. There's Wild Geese, of course, one
Yes.
of the most prolific, famous, incredible poems, but so deeply moving. I've got one here to read, Grief Year by Nikita Gill.
Oh, love Nikita Gill.
Yes, yes. To love greatly is to know loss deeply, and yet we choose to love anyway. Because what else is there to this life than to love and be loved? So you wake up each day, a heart heavy with love and grief, and you wish yourself a good morning.
Perfect. I mean, literally
Because what
perfect.
else is there to do than carry on?
Yeah, beautifully put and so simple. So,
So
so,
simple, so short. Again, so short, so simple, but somehow says everything.
yeah, 100%.
There's also Heaven by Donna Ashworth from Wild Hope. Should I read it? Is there time?
Please. Oh, yes, there's plenty.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's time. What if we do go to heaven? What if heaven is as wondrous as they say, and we exist in the light and peace, surrounded by those that we lost? And what if we do look down from our blissful abode and see the ones we left behind, shutting out light and cancelling joy to honour our absence? My friend, please do not let life die with them, because I'm sure, beyond sure in fact, that it would be the last thing they'd want. We must honour their life by living ours, with their love as the motivation. And we can honour our grief too. That's the way. That's the way. Their spirit did not die, only their body. Do not let your spirit go with them. Not yet. Not yet.
Oof, no words. Do not let your spirit go with them. Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
beautiful.
sat with that one for quite a while.
I understand why. I
Yeah.
understand why.
It's
Yeah,
just a beautiful encapsulation of how it feels, because all you do want, and it sounds so like deep and heavy, but it's true. All you want to do is be with them
yeah,
in whatever capacity that might be. You just want to be with them,
yeah,
but you can't be. So what else do you do other than try and revel in the happier moments and revel in things that bring their memory to you? And that might be a book, it might be a song, as we will go on to, it might be a poem, it might be a silly old TV show, it might be, I've got a little hair clip, bright neon green, that my nan used to wear all the time just to put a fringe back because it was annoying her. And I'll wear it in my pocket on my pajamas sometimes.
uh,
Whatever you can do to feel close to that person, you will do. And I think it shows that really well, that you can be with them without being with them.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, beautifully put. Um, yes. Yeah, I'm just reading the comments. Thank you, everybody, for all you're saying. It's such a rich discussion, and thank you, Sam. What else
Thank
do you
you.
have on your list?
Oh, I have many. I've got As Long as There Is Love, There Will Be Grief by Heidi Priebe.
Mm.
Pribe? Oh, I can't say the surname, but again, I love it. The grief of time passing, of love moving on half finished, of empty spaces that were once bursting with the laughter and energy of people we loved. As long as there is love, there will be grief, because grief is love's natural continuation. It shows up in the aisles of stores we once frequented, in the half finished bottle of wine we pour out, in the whiff of cologne we get 2 years after they've been gone. Grief is a giant neon sign, protruding through everything, pointing everywhere, broadcasting loudly, love was here. In the finer print, quietly, love still is.
Oh, oh my God.
I know.
Love
Honestly,
that.
I know.
Well, what that encapsulates beautifully is just those little details that remind you of that person every
Yeah.
day, as you described, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, she just describes that so well, doesn't she?
100%.
Would
It's them little moments that, like I was saying earlier, are the most difficult.
yeah,
Like, I think, yeah, I did say it. My nan passed a few days before my birthday, I think 3 or 4 days. And I can't honestly say that spending that first birthday without her was any harder than seeing her dressing gown.
wow,
Like, oh, but like just seeing them little things that haven't been used, or that hasn't been a need for them, so they still just sit there. That's almost harder.
yeah, those everyday things, those everyday things, yeah,
Yeah,
heartbreaking. So maybe that leads us on to songs as
I
well.
think
And
it might.
I think we both said, and you mentioned, you know, that actually when we were chatting about it in our little pre-show kind of conversations, that you know sometimes you know there are certain senses I think that are really powerful, and I know smell is particularly powerful for
Oh,
memories in general, but also music. You know, music can throw you back to a certain era of your life, or you know, remembering sharing it with somebody. And you mentioned that certain songs that aren't to do with grief just remind you of your past, and
Yeah,
things like that. That's because of, that connection. Do you want to
yeah.
share a few of the songs that you've got on your list?
Okay, well, I'll start there because they are bonkers crazy. So I've got two. I've got Wild Rover and I've got Hole in the Ground. Oh, I've got three. And My Brother by Terry Scott. So dirty. So dirty. Filthy. Filthy. I had no business listening to that as the age I was. Absolutely no business. Hole in the Ground and Wild Rover are fine, but My Brother's a bit close to the edge. But I knew it word for word and I'd sing it with the windows down. Um, you
Brilliant.
can just imagine a little 7-year-old like just screaming. Um, but they're kind of the lighter ones, and I love them, and I'll sing them now. And they're goofy, they're funny, they're what you would imagine a granddad to play for you. But like we always used to play them. Like he used to put me on his knee, and we'd drive around the cemetery. Actually, taking it back to grief, we'd be going to see my great nan and great granddad. But he'd let me drive. um, he'd put his feet on the brakes and everything, and obviously his hands on the steering wheel at the bottom. But I'd be driving. I could have got my test at 7. I'm just saying. Um, Still not passed now, so I'm lying. But that used to happen, and we used to sing them songs. Again, looking back, why was I singing that at a cemetery? But it happened nevertheless, and that brings me back to them moments. And that's a happy kind of grief. It's a happy kind of, oh God, I miss that. I would do anything to have that one more time. But it's I'm able to sit with it now. And I don't know whether that's more time or more like exposure therapy, because I've kind of listened to it a lot more than I used to. But yeah, there too. Um on the harder side, and I haven't listened to either of these in 16, maybe 17 years. Maybe like what's the word? Like when you off my own back. Like I haven't,
Oh, yeah, as in like you haven't actively.
that's the one.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
actively sought out to listen to them, but I have had to. The Climb and I Dreamed a Dream. The
Oh,
Climb, the Climb, because Miley Cyrus, but I sung that at my pap's funeral. And I also sung I Dreamed a Dream as the coming out song at his funeral. So those two are very, very just tied to not a bad memory, but a very rough memory um, that I kind of blocked out a lot of. I don't really remember too much of it, which I think grief and trauma have a lot to say about memory and blocking things out for protection. Um, Another one, Supermarket Flowers by Ed Sheeran.
oh, Ed.
Man, that song that was played at my nan's actually in the middle, um, sandwiched by I Am the One and Only, Chesney Hawkes, and then Shotgun by George Ezra. Um,
Brilliant.
Her choices, iconic Queen behaviour, of
Love it.
course.
Love it.
Yeah, and another one that is in the middle at the minute is a happy but also a longing memory is God Bless the Broken Roads by Rascal Flatts.
Oh,
Um, and I used to sing that for my nan all the time. And it was one of them that she'd get me to sing. She'd be like, Sammy, come sing this for me. And I would. I'd be like, oh, do I have to? But I would. And I'd go and sit there and she'd be like, and just listen. And just thinking back, I'd be like, I would love to just one more time. So every time I hear that, I have that kind of pang of, oh, I can't do that anymore. But it's also I once got to, and
yeah.
there's that privilege there that I'm now older and I can recognize was a privilege, but it still hurts.
Yeah, beautifully put. They're all gorgeous choices. And Lorna just mentioned "I Will Always Love You," Whitney Houston's version, which apparently was her dad's favorite and was played at his funeral. which why didn't we even think of that song? And also,
Yeah.
isn't that an original Dolly Parton song as
Oh
well?
my God, it is.
Yeah, two queens.
Two
But
queens.
my goodness, what a song, Lorna. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, of course. Like, yeah, such an obvious choice because it's so perfect and brilliant.
Yeah. Such a
Gorgeous.
perfect choice. So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the space to share. But what about you? What are your songs?
Yes, yeah, my goodness. Well, let me do this in an order. One of the songs that I hear a lot is like a traditional folk song. And again, no one's quite sure who the original creator is. There's a lot of different kind of speculation about that. I come from a musical family. Both my dad and my brother are professional musicians. And I was named after Nina Simone. And, you know, as a child, I was at all these music festivals, at all these music concerts. I was surrounded by a lot of blues and folk and jazz musicians. And I feel very privileged, you know, about that because so many of those people were just gorgeous, wonderful characters who were just a really important part of my life and really invested in me and taught me how to play the guitar and you know, all sorts of stuff. Built me guitars and yeah, all sorts of stuff. And there's a tradition in that uh, in that music circle of playing a particular song when one of their own dies. And it's called Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And it's just a gorgeous, very simple song. And the idea is that everybody joins in and sings. Um, and the chorus is very simple. It just says, will the circle be unbroken by and by, by and by? There's a greater life awaiting in the sky, in the sky. And then, yeah, and it repeats, you know. So it's really beautiful. And the idea is that we will continue the circle, the cycle of life, but, you know, that we are kind of helping someone ascend, you know, to wherever they go next. So it's a beautiful tradition and it's kind of passed down from generations to generations, which is gorgeous. Um, I am a massive fan of Annie Lennox. I think she is the queen. I think she is bloody awesome as a human being. I think her voice is one of the best to ever exist, but certainly that is alive now, I would argue. She is so incredibly soulful, and she has used her platform in such beautiful ways to advocate, in particular, for Palestine and Palestinians. But more than that, and she is just all heart. She is so deeply empathetic. She has a song called Why. That whole album is incredible. I think it was her first solo album. Um, but that song, and originally, I think it's just really a breakup song. But she did recently performed live a special version of that for Gaza, for the people of Palestine, and she changed the lyrics. Go to YouTube, watch the live performance. I'm not even going to say anything else. If you don't sob for like 24 hours straight, you're dead inside. Like, it is the most heart wrenching thing that I've witnessed and heard for so long. I mean, she knows what she's doing and she felt every single note and lyric of that song. So yeah, that for me was again, it just spoke to our collective grief
Yeah.
and gave a kind of an output for what we were all feeling inside. So yes, Why by Annie Lennox, and Beck says we need more people like her in the world using her platform so well, 110%. Now, this next one is, yeah, very personal for me. So we talk about different forms of grief. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm so lucky because touch wood, I haven't really lost that many people in my life. You know, my grandparents, who all of whom I was very, very close with and who I lived with for a while. You know, but they died when they were old. They died peacefully mostly. And it was timely, you know, so it's a different grief. Of course, it was, you know, real and raw and painful, but it wasn't complicated by anything else. But apart from that, again, touch wood, you know, I've been pretty lucky. And then I was talking to a friend who said, your entire life has been full of grief, Nina. What do you mean? You've had to say goodbye to so many people and walk away from so many people, and there's been this huge vacuum in your life once those people have gone, and you've had to start from zero and walk away from relationships that were abusive and and also miscarriages. And yeah, in the last few years, I've experienced a few miscarriages. And the thing about that kind of grief, along with that estrangement and, you know, walking away from friendships and relationships, is that it's what they call disenfranchised grief. And it was a therapist who told me that, not my therapist, but someone else who's a therapist. And I found that really important because I guess the definition is that it's not acknowledged in the same way as other forms of grief, and that it often happens in private. And when I was experiencing my miscarriages, I literally don't think I missed a day of work. I think I carried on working throughout. I didn't think I deserved a day off, but also I'm freelance. So if I don't work, I don't get paid. So I just wanted to share that because looking back, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? But that's what I did, you know, and I did cry, you know, and I had enough self-awareness and I'd done enough work on myself to know that I needed to grieve these losses, and I was very well supported. I now have the most incredible chosen family around me, and everybody just, you know, jumped into action. Some people were doing the practical things and, you know, calling the hospitals for me and getting me appointments and sorting me out practically and researching stuff. Other people were bringing food, and other people just cried with me and for me. And I was very, very lucky that my partner was absolutely phenomenal and did not leave my side, but he delayed his grief because he was supporting me. And so when I started to feel better, he suddenly started to cry. And it was because of the relief of she's okay now. And I can, you know, I can feel it. I don't know why, but I'm sadder for him. Anyway, so the one way that I got in touch with that grief was this song by Eric Clapton called Tears in Heaven. And it's about him losing his son. And I'm not even going to attempt to read the lyrics because I'm not going to get past the first word. But what I did is when my partner was out at work, I would get my guitar out and I would play the song and I would try to sing it, and I would always get to about word 3 and just sob my heart out, but it would all come out. And then I would keep singing through it. I would keep trying to get the words out because every word was so relevant. And I'm just so grateful because it opened the door for me. It opened the door for me and it helped me feel my grief and work through it. And just every day I would sit and play the same song, you know, just to feel it. So there you go. Those are my songs. That'll do.
That is so beautifully put. And like, it's so powerful the way that a song can be that for somebody
Yeah,
in a time where not much else is reaching.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I am just I just want to give you a big hug.
Well, thank you, and thank you all for indulging me and listening. Now, it has, of course, flown by, as we thought it
As
would.
always.
Now, two things I want to check with you, Sam, is first of all, is there anything more that you would like to share? And second of all, we do have a new segment that we were going to
Ooh.
announce. Is that right? And also something that we're going to give away. Yes, it's right there. So why don't you lead us on whatever you would like to share next?
Okay. So, because we appreciate you guys so much and we see you come in every week more often than not, like all of you are here. Um and yeah, we just wanted to make a little token of our thanks and like a little keepsake because it's a book club. Might not be a typical conventional book club, but it's a book slag book club. So we have some little put in the world to write book slag bookmark book club.
They're Gorgeous. So
And
Sam's
of
created this.
course, they have a little QR code to our YouTube on the back. But yeah, they have the little live podcast. They have a blanket for the books, blankets, and brews. The cup, the books, got a little
Absolutely
mat,
gorgeous.
2026, because that's what year we're in.
Amazing. Amazing. So much attention to detail.
So who wants one? Because they're free. It's a thank you.
Sam is giving them away,
I
basically.
am.
So she
We
has
are.
them by hand. This is her design, limited edition. And this is just our thanks to all of you who have been with us for most of the 24 hours book chat so far and just contributed so, so much to the conversation, you know, both live and also afterwards and before. So, yeah, how should we do it, Sam? Should we get you guys to just contact us? We'll put up
Yeah.
a little post and let us know who wants them and we'll send them your way.
If you're here and you want one, put a red heart. But I've made 15. So if anybody else wants them, I can put a text box
Great.
up as well.
So first 15 to grab these limited edition Book Slag Club bookmarks.
Book flag, book club, bookmark.
There you go. All right, you're doing that from now on. That was so much better done. Well done. Yes, we've got some hearts coming in already, so we're clocking you all, and we will make sure that they get to you because you all deserve them, and we're just so 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 grateful to all of you. So thank you. We also have a little book slag bookshelf coming up. Is that right?
We do. We have a little bookshelf.
What's
So
that?
after every episode, we have a little graphic made, and we're just going to start compiling the recommendations from us and from you guys so that they're in one concise little place. And yeah, it's just our bookshelf. It's just the book slide bookshelf.
Yeah.
And the recommendations that you put in the comments or the ones that we speak about will go on that shelf, and hopefully you might pick a read from it.
There you go. So I know we go a mile a minute and there's so much content and so many recommendations from us, from you. And so Sam had the brilliant idea of just consolidating it all so that we really can then reference back to all the brilliant things that have been recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully find some gems in amongst those.
It was the book rec compilation that got me thinking. I was like, there's been so many good book recs,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's just nowhere to put them.
No, no. And
But
even
we have a shelf.
there you go. Problem solved.
We have
Amazing.
a bookshelf.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, thank you. Now, I have this poem, this uplifting poem that I would like to end on. Is there anything else you want to share before we do that?
Just a massive thank you to you and to everybody
Yeah.
for being so supportive and being so amazing and just so on it and so caring and so attentive to like checking that I'm okay, even though I'm like saying I'm okay, like just checking. Um, because sometimes it can be hard to admit that you're not,
Yeah.
but the checking in has been amazing, and I'm just very, very grateful, and I'm grateful for all of you.
I
That
would
is it.
add just the level of generosity that's in this community. Like everyone is so, so, so generous. You are, Sam, Shabs is, everybody in the chat, Lorna, Beck, all of you, Helen, so many of you that are regulars. We're just so grateful for all of you, but more than anything, just your generosity with us, your generosity of spirit with each other. Yeah, we can't quite believe what we've created, you know, and also the generosity of all our guests just giving us
Yes.
time and expertise. Like, we just can't believe it, really. So, thank you.
No,
Right. Shall we end with this one?
I think we shall.
So, it's called You Learn. And like I said, I'm not going to say who it's by because it could be by about 3 different people at least. But here we go. After a while, you learn the subtle difference between holding a hand and chaining a soul. And you learn that love doesn't mean leaning, and company doesn't mean security. And you begin to learn that kisses aren't contracts, and presents aren't promises, and you begin to accept your defeats with your head up and your eyes open, with the grace of a woman, not the grief of a child. And you learn to build all your roads on today, because tomorrow's ground is too uncertain for plans, and futures have a way of falling down in mid-flight. After a while, you learn that even sunshine burns if you get too much. So you plant your own garden and you decorate your own soul instead of waiting for someone else to bring you flowers. And you learn that you really can endure, that you really are strong, and you really do have worth. And you learn and learn. With every goodbye, you learn.
What a gorgeous place to finish. Oh, I love that.
Isn't it gorgeous? That has got me through so many breakups.
I love that so much.
Yeah,
So
same,
much.
same.
Do you know what? I've never heard that one before.
I'll send it to you. Again,
Please do.
would love to credit the author. Don't know who they are, but yeah, look it up. You'll find out. But once again, everybody, with every goodbye, we learn. We thank
Yes.
you all so much for another beautiful season. Thank you, Sam. You're an absolute legend, and the work you do behind the scenes, even in this hardest of times, is so, so amazing, so consistent, and so appreciated.
Likewise. Honestly, I couldn't do what I do without you doing what you do. And I'm so grateful for what we've built, the community that is with us. And I'm just so grateful and so excited to carry on and keep talking about books for 24 more hours.
Well, we've got a lot more ideas, and it looks like we've got a lot of guests who would like to come
We
back,
do.
new guests that want to come. So, yeah, watch this space. But
Yeah.
we wish you all a beautiful summer. Stay cool, look
Stay
up,
hydrated.
stay hydrated, keep reading, and we will see you guys very, very soon.
We will. And remember to let us know if you would like a book sag, book club, bookmark.
Perfect. Lots of love,
Love you
everybody.
all, guys.
Thank you.